Hello everyone, this is Rishi Kumar from TiECon 2007. We have a very special guest here in our studios at TiECon Live, Sadhguru. Sadhguru, welcome. Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev, he's based out in Coimbatore, India, and he's the founder of the Isha Foundation, and he teaches engineering, but engineering of a different kind. And we'll get to hear very soon what it is all about. Sadhguru literally translated means the dispeller of darkness within ourselves. What exactly does that mean? Could you tell us a little bit about the Isha Foundation and about the inner engineering program that you teach?
Engineering, what does engineering mean? Whatever kind of engineering that you're doing in the world is fundamentally an effort to create situations the way we want it, isn't it? Whatever kind of engineering is just an attempt to have situations the way we want it. We have done too much engineering on the planet. We have changed the face of the planet in the last 100 years. So much engineering that the very life of the planet is under threat. But this has brought definitely enormous amount of comfort and convenience to human life. But unless your inner situations are also the way you want it, human well-being will not happen. So as you engineer the outside, you also need to engineer the inside. If you don't do that, everything outside will be the way you want it, but you are not the way you want it. If you are exactly the way you want yourself to be, you would definitely be joyful and blissful every moment of your life, isn't it?
That is true.
So because the necessary inner engineering has not been done, people have wonderful things on the outside but still struggling inside. That has to change, otherwise human well-being will not happen.
That is very true. Yes.
So Isha Foundation is just a voluntary organization with over 500,000 volunteers around the world doing variety of work, with over 1,500 full-time volunteers, making an attempt to deliver this possibility to humanity.
That sounds like a wonderful cause. Yesterday at TiECon 2007, we heard Mark Benioff, who's the CEO of Salesforce.com, and he talked about his spiritual journey back to India, where he was interfacing with some of the spiritual gurus. What do you think of that? Can the high tech and spirituality merge together? What's your experience on that? What is the advice that you will offer to some of the folks who work in high tech who are aspiring also on the spiritual track? Can they merge together?
Spirituality is high tech, always been. It's the highest technology. Because all technology, as I already said, what is the purpose of developing all this technology? Human well-being, isn't it? And true human well-being will happen only when spiritual well-being is there. When I say spiritual, do not think in terms of religion or looking up to heaven or whatever. Spirituality means as there is a physical reality, there is a dimension beyond the physical, which is the basis of your existence. If you don't keep that well, what you call as myself, if you don't keep that well, if you do not understand the technology of keeping that well, which is very high technology, so if you don't do that, then there is really no use of other technology. So I don't see any kind of contradiction. As people become more and more scientific in their way of looking at life, they will naturally become more and more spiritual. The reason why spirituality has been not as much as it should have been in the world is there has not been sufficient scientific way of thinking in the planet. Today, probably for the first time in the world, like never before, more and more human beings are beginning to think logically and scientifically. So naturally the world will become more and more spiritual.
That is very true. I totally agree with that. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the other spiritual leaders. For example, Gautam Buddha, I think he is the supreme spiritual leader. And when he went through his path to enlightenment, to the moksha that he obtained under the tree, did he figure out his inner self? How does that relate to inner engineering?
That is inner engineering. It is just that because he did not have proper guidance, he went through a very hard time getting there.
So that is an easier path.
Very hard time. But once he found it, he made it easy for other people. Similarly, if people go without guidance on an uncharted path, it could be very hard. It is hard not because it is really hard, it is simply because it's in a different direction from the way you normally look at things. Your whole perception is limited to 5 sense organs, and your sense organs are essentially outward bound. Your eyes, your vision, your hearing capabilities, your sense of smell, taste, touch, everything is outward bound. This is all your perception is.
That is true.
So because of that, spirituality seems to be far away because it is inward. You cannot turn your sense perception inward. It is because of this people think it's difficult, simply because it's in a different direction, not because it's difficult. So it is like you want to overtake, you want to pass your shadow and go, your shadow is ahead of you. The faster and faster you run, the shadow continues to stay ahead of you. If you just turn around, it's behind you. Gautama took 8 years to just turn around. And once he saw that, how simple it was, then he started teaching the method. And he is not the only one, nor was he the first one. He became the most famous one in many ways, for various reasons. And one reason is because he was a king.
I see a very similar message with a lot of the other gurus. Ramana Maharishi, he talks about us getting in touch with our own awareness, and that itself is the moksha or enlightenment that we are seeking. Does inner engineering also get you to that similar awareness that he talks about?
Definitely it gets you there, but Ramana is not for common people, because recently when I was in Los Angeles, somebody was saying, Sadhguru, you're teaching us all this variety of methods that we need to do all this to be like this. But Ramana said, no need to do anything. I said, yes, it's actually true, there is no need to do anything. Ramana sat down and did nothing. He just sat. Actually, mice came and bit his flesh off, but he did nothing. His whole lower part of the body got infested with worms, but he did nothing. But you are made like this. If a mosquito bites you, you'll call 911. Now, you don't talk about doing nothing. You have to do something. So, Ramana's intensity of seeking is very different. So, his methods are for people who are totally in a different way. I'm not saying it's irrelevant. I'm saying it needs a completely different kind of approach.
That's great. We are really happy to have you here at the studio. We are looking forward to your talk here at TiECon 2007 a little later today. And thank you so much for coming down.